Yeah, here we go. Hello, Victoria, Fearless V, Squirrel Sniper, Mr. C. I see I got some moderators in the house. It's we got a special guest today. He's been on the channel a couple times. And listen, unique guy. He's not just sitting in a studio producing material. This man is boots on the ground. Sicily, Malta, there's other places all over the UK. This man's going to these places and finding things that you're not going to find in the standard textbooks. So, you guys who have been with me for 6 months or longer, and you remember our prior conversation with Paul Cook, you'll remember I know my facts about Malta. I can name the places, when they were discovered, which archaeologists, but Paul showed us pictures of a place on Malta I've never heard of. And what he showed was very compelling. We're talking about it. This is definitely technolithic material. It's compelling. It's megalithic. We're talking about a civilization that we have absolutely no records for that built all this. So I don't really have any other announcements. That I'm catching a flight today. I'm heading toward Virginia Beach. You guys know we got a really big event on Saturday. So I got some things to do before Saturday, but we still have tickets for sale. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce my guest without further ado. I'm going to bring in Mr. Paul Cook. He's got his own channel. You guys need to check it out. I'll have all his links available to you in the description box at the close of this video. How you doing, Paul?
Very well, Jason. How are you, my friend?
Oh, easy, Tiger. Easy, Tiger.
Easy, Tiger. First of all, mate, I just want to say thank you very much for allowing me to come on your show and present my information to your audience. First things first. And I can't see the chat, but I guarantee you I will probably see the same familiar faces as well, as our channels do cross paths in certain subjects. But what I'll do is I'll just get straight into it. We won't waste no time. And I'll just give you a little lowdown for the people that don't know me or who have joined recently to Archaix. My name's Paul. I'm still a plumber now, and I've been a plumber for 15 years. I've worked in building services. I've been a building service engineer. I do mechanical engineering and all that sort of stuff. While I don't want to use the word, but while there was that pandemic on before, it gave me a couple of years free time to not work and allow to explore without any tour guides or anyone or any like nothing. It was just me and my mind and a little map, which I'll show you in a minute, that I was using in Malta to go around and locate sites that had been seen before, but a long time ago. And it seems to me like the government have sort of like let that fizzle out of the consciousness of the people that are currently on this planet. So I'll show you a map here, and it's just going to give you an idea of what this is and where we're going with this. Is that sharing, Jace?
Yes, it is. Hold on just a second. I'm bringing it in. There you go.
Excellent. Right, so this map here, I'm not going to talk too much about Malta because we've done quite a bit on that, but I just want to give you an idea of what my research is about, so you don't just think, oh, what's this guy going on about? So I started off in Malta, and I was living in very close to Valletta. So this area here, it's going to knock your socks off, is what it looks like now.
You can zoom in a little bit.
Yeah. So this is the area. So this is Valletta. This is Floriana, where I lived. And this is the three cities. Now, this whole section here was subject to heavily bombing in Malta in World War II. And they targeted what we call star cities or star forts. So this is the map that I was using while I was in Malta. And it's dated 1694. Now, when I come across this map, I didn't think much of it. It was just, like some frequency patterns, and you got some walls and some curtains, and you got. Anyway, I started noticing things. That, which go to this image. You can see here how much it's changed in almost just over 300 years. So they've pretty much got rid of, yeah. So what I did was I went onto Google Earth, and I got pretty much the same elevation as the map on the left-hand side, just to see, and you can clearly see how much of this place or these frequency patterns have been built on top of and dismantled. And I will be showing you similar stuff but I found it in Sicily. And on top of that, in Sicily, I also found what we call cart ruts, but they're service channels, because I found pipes inside of them. I found them connected to the water supply that takes them to the apartments. I found them going from water supply to factories. It's a phenomenal thing. It's very phenomenal. I've also found them in
Paul, these tracks you found in Malta,
yeah.
you know they're identical to tracks that have been found fossilized in Texas outside of Austin as well.
Wow. Wow. I'd love to check that out, mate. I would love to check that out. Do you know what the material is, Jason?
I've heard you talk about geopolymers.
Yeah, I mean, limestone or sandstone is usually the culprit.
But aren't they quarrying it and then turn around adding silicates and hardeners and then repouring it so it looks like the original, but upon scrutiny you can tell it's synthetic?
Exactly that. So basically, in a lowdown. So basically, what these structures are on this map on the left hand side, they're made out of a material called geopolymer. Geopolymer. So what they've done is they broke down natural limestone, and then they've remolded it with the same concept that you do with cement or concrete. So they've added a few ingredients when I made my own stones, I don't know what they did back then, but when I made sandstone and limestone, with my research, I found that adding sodium silicate, calcium hydroxide, and it's another language, but there was another ingredient. It allowed the aggregates to form a crystalline molecular structure in between the particles, which allowed it to strengthen over time. And that is why we see now the geopolymer structures still there, but you only see the bottom of them. And people have come along at some time, damaged them, and then they've rebuilt on top of them with the damaged stones. And let me just get to it. So that's that. Now I'm going to go straight to Sicily and show you what I found in Sicily.
That's amazing. That's amazing, man. Because there's researchers in Egypt who have been studying the Great Pyramid, and they know for a fact that the adhesive that puts those limestone blocks together, the adhesive is made of a geopolymer, and it seems like they took limestone, liquefied it. They added hardeners, tensile hardeners to it, but what gave it away is that beryl is a semi-precious stone. It has no business in limestone, and yet there's just trace elements of beryl through all that stone, showing, man, they liquefied this somehow and then poured it with the beryl and the tensile hardeners in there to make. That's why the Great Pyramid's been there forever. Cities have been built. Empires have been built and then turn around, decayed, and then buried underground. That Great Pyramid is still there.
Yeah, so that is, Jason, what you just mentioned there is exactly what I found myself. That is the niche that I found myself looking for. So I've been going around looking for these ancient structures that have been buried or hidden. And like you just mentioned there about the stones, it's not only the limestone on the Giza Plateau that's been cast. You can also see the basalt. I might show you that now quickly. Let me find it. Yeah, let me just, sorry, mate, let's get to... All right. Services, render. Here we go. So yeah, I'll start with this first. I'll start with this and we'll go to that. Let it roll in. So we was talking about
you gotta present it. There's nothing presented right now.
Yeah, we're talking about the cart ruts. Yeah, sorry, mate. And when I was there, because what I noticed, Jason, was that every time I went to these what they call catacombs, we was always going in the same section. You know, and it seemed when I was in there, I was like, this seems to be some sort of storage section. But in the narrative, they're calling these like places where they rest the dead. So when I was in Archimedes' tomb, I believe they call it, it's been shut down now. But you can see all the cart ruts, and the cart ruts run to the boxes. Yeah, let me show you. So these are I'm going to call them cart ruts just because people are not familiar with channel services and service marks. So these actually go to boxes and they're storing water. And you'll see this. So this channel here comes here. You can see where they're passing over each other, the pipes, cables. And this here, one thing I've discovered that is groundbreaking in Sicily, what I'll show you in a second, is the pipes enter the top of the building, the top of the of that level of that structure and they exit at the bottom of the door. So once they're inside, once they're inside the building, they run around the wall and drop off where they need to go, which I've documented and I'm going to show you in a second. But here you can see the cart ruts, which are service channels, coming from the water supply up here, and then they come down here and they feed this cul-de-sac of some ancient complex. And another thing I'll add is you can see that this part here has all been cast, and you can see bits that have been damaged. So I look for the parts that seem to be quite flush, and normally you can see render, which I'll be showing you all the render on top of these things, because a lot of people say, oh, they're scratch marks where they've cut it from stone, and I'm like, no, it's not. They're scratch marks because they've applied pre-render and then they've rendered over these structures because they were buildings. And again, you can see here the service channels that come down, and you can also see here there's a little branch that comes along here. See that?
Yeah, I do see it.
So these would have gone in. Yeah.
So what you're telling? Okay, what you're telling me? Check this out. You got to slow down because not everybody comes from a tradesman's background. Yes. I've been a tradesman for years, in and out of prison. I understand what you're talking about. What you are literally showing is what only a plumber would have been able to, or a structural engineer would have been able to see in all these. What you're calling cart ruts aren't really cart ruts at all. They're service channels. And
yes.
So my community needs to understand, by service channels, we're talking about stone architecture here that had conduits that either flowing electricity or some type of liquid fuel. Something was very carefully laid in these tracks in tubing, terracotta, rubber. We don't know because it hadn't lasted the test of time. But what Paul is showing is that these aren't just stone buildings. This is very technical. This is really fucking sophisticated infrastructure here. These people had running water. They had probably natural gas. They had all these things in buildings that are far more permanent than what we build today.
100%. And the buildings that we knock up today only last 100 years maximum. These have been here since I don't know how long. I don't know.
They were already ancient when the Templars were on Malta using these same structures.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. So here you can see that the service channel. So in here, I would be saying there'll be pipes coming down here, and then what they'll do is they come along. You can see a little entrance here. You might not think much of it now, but when I show you the actual footage that I found of this, I found a lost city in the valley underneath an archaeological site in Sicily, and I knew from my research that they push you towards tourist attractions and they brush aside the real history. And because I knew that, I applied that knowledge to my holiday in Sicily. And I thought, right, I'm not going to go to this tourist attraction. I'm going to go down in the valley where the water supply is and see what's going on down there. And I come across, it was literally, I'd say it was like an industrial, a Stone Age industrial complex down there. So let's carry on. Right.
Yeah, I have to let me interject. Well, what you're describing is very interesting because it's not just in your part of the world. Martin Leakey and I went on a trip. We had several people in the Archaix team, friends and family. They were all with us, and we went to a place in New Mexico that was supposed to be like sacred holy ground to a certain tribe of Indians. All right. The tourist track was a winding track that took us to all these places, and we found modern concrete underneath what was supposed to be an ancient Spanish mission. So Martin Leakey and I, we were walking around. So man, we took a lot of pictures and video footage. Like this is fake. Everything here is fake. This isn't even old. Then we went around the corner to a place we weren't supposed to be looking at, and we were looking downhill at tractors, modern day tractors, building Indian adobe structures made to look old. So now check this out. When we were leaving the facility, there's a long walkway back to the parking lot. And and they got signs that say, for our own personal safety, stay on the path. And it's heavily wooded, but the right side goes up a mountain. Well, Martin and I were just looking through the trees, and we saw these boulders that they're too uniform. Yeah. Nature wouldn't have done this. Yeah. So we're like, man, look at that way up there on top of the mountain, man. Look at that, man. That's awesome. So Martin and I are looking at it, and we're watching all the tourists, and we get to look at it, and we say, everybody is programmed to stay on the path because of these signs. Yeah. So we left the Archaix group on the path and told them, hey, don't look up the mountain and give us away. Don't dry snitch on us by everybody looking up there. I said, because they got park rangers that are watching. Martin and I went all the way up there, and we found a whole area where thousands of people could live. There were shelters, and it looked like whole cave systems had been intentionally blocked with tractors putting large rocks in the holes. But every one of them was a cave entrance that had been blocked.
Yeah.
And this is in New Mexico. So what you're describing is going on in Europe and the Mediterranean. They've been hiding this stuff in plain sight right here in the United States too.
100%, and I'd love to see what you found there as well. I'd love to. And the way you just described that, Jason, is the same concept or the same setup that we see everywhere. We see a structure, and then we see what they do is they put mud up the side of it, and they plant a load of trees. The roots then go into the structure and damage the structure. You then believe it's a natural hill. And another thing that I've noticed is they actually put a lot of the doors and the windows are square in these structures, but they damage them to make it look like they're primitive and like they're not very advanced, and they're just like little holes in the wall. But here, you'll see here, look, there's render on the wall here. See that? Render.
Yep.
And that goes over these scratch marks. A lot of it's been damaged.
Yeah, and those scratch marks are probably like 4,000 or 5,000 year old quarrying machines. We see evidence of machining on ancient structures everywhere.
Yeah, I know, and it's phenomenal. It really is phenomenal. I mean, look at this render over the stone. This is not meant to be there. This is meant to be a natural stone that's been cut up with hand tools. Yet you've got this decorative render or this pre-render sitting over it. Obviously, it was someone's job to get rid of all this. This is just another shot of that cul-de-sac with the channel marks coming down. Now, this is where it's funky because you can see where their pipes enter these cisterns, if you want to call them. So you can see here, there's a little inlet. Then this would have come from a track. I'll show you. I'll get better images. So again, this track starts here, coming from this tank. Starts here.
Yeah.
So yeah, they come along in the tracks and they fill up these. I guess these are some sort of cisterns or water tanks.
Okay, check this out. I want to. Okay, I don't know if you're a plumber, so you should be familiar with bar screen technology, septic systems that have the gratings over them, so large objects that are floating in the fluid don't stop up your septic flues.
Yeah.
So, when I was in prison, I was in the boiler room for a while, and the boiler room is the boilers. The boilers heat up water into steam, and the steam is used for power in the kitchen and the laundry, so they can press clothes. Well, next to that is the bar screen. The bar screen is where all the fluids on the entire prison go through this trap, and it looks just like this. All the fluids go to a chamber that's underground, and it filters into a pit that has bars across it. And every day you got to go out there with a pole and take everything that was caught by the bars, because that can't go back to the city sewer systems for when they reprocess the water.
So that's a very interesting point there, Jay. So you reckon this is where they're cleaning the water before it gets to where they're going?
Well, cleaning the water, or it could be other things as well. It's whatever was going through whatever fluid that they were doing. Because what you're showing me, Paul, I would not be surprised if some type of event that caused liquefaction made the ground all uneven. And when you're showing the conduits, what you're calling cart tracks, when you're showing me, it's probably after that destruction. And originally, we're looking at a surface that was absolutely flat, maybe a 3-degree pitch, so water would flow. But that civilization's gone, because you already know during earthquakes, even solid rocks from the vibration can change their shape.
Phenomenal, mate. Phenomenal. So I'm going to share these images now. I don't know if are they sharing. So this is the water supply, Jason, that connects the cart ruts to the apartments. And I couldn't believe it when I was there. I was like, wow, this is phenomenal. So this is all part of the same complex. This is next to Archimedes. And what you can see here is a channel mark running. Sorry, I'm on the wrong. Sorry. a channel mark running along here, right? I believe, oh, sorry, I'll get to that in a minute. You've got another channel mark running along here, and you've got another channel mark running along here. This pool fills up, this water runs, and when let me just get to it. Let me show you. So this is the water supply, and these are the tanks that it fills up. So let me get to, so this is the water supply I was just showing you in that room. So this here is this here, right? And you can see there's a channel mark coming straight. It's being filled in now. There's a channel mark running here. You've also got a channel mark running down here with it's got the slabs over it. This is an important thing that I've noticed as well. And we still do it today with concrete. So you put a channel mark in the floor, you put your pipes or cables down, and then you put slabs over it. I've got so much of this, but you remember that channel?
It's still, that is still an absolutely modern technique. I have done that technique myself. You can see that technique on ParadiseRockGardens.com. My old company I was working as I was building my YouTube channel. I was literally doing exactly that. I was building flat. A lot of it's disguised. You see a flagstone sidewalk, but what you don't know is I have a French drain installed underneath it. And my flagstones are all different angles to fool you and make you think that it's just a natural sidewalk, a beautiful sidewalk that I made with flagstone. But underneath it's a French drain, and all the rain that gets caught on that property gets filtered right off the property. That's the exact same concept as this right here.
Wow, phenomenal, mate, phenomenal. So I showed you the this supply up here. So you've got 4 supplies coming from this running water. You can see that you've got a main supply coming directly from that actual pool of water. But the high level pipe that I showed you, well, the pipe's not there, but the high level channel mark, you can see comes around to here through the wall. Let me show you. Through the wall here, look.
Yes, it does.
And then it comes out this part here, and then you can see it drops down. This is where they go they enter the building at the top, and they exit at the bottom under the floor. The floor will be, again, a suspended stone floor that will be sitting on 2 lips. So the pipes will be underneath it. So if you need to perform maintenance, you lift up the slab and you do the maintenance, put the slab back down. You don't see no pipe work.
That's genius, Paul. It looks like the higher one is where your fresh water, this is where your sweet water comes in. It goes into the cave where the cistern is. And then when the cave hits a certain height, you just show the channel on the floor that's like a release pressure valve.
Yeah, it's not an overflow.
It's not going to let it flood. It's going to spill out through the spillway out here in the front. And out here could have been where the animals were watered, or they could have had a system in place out here where the ships coming in could take on water without, moving them in water barrels and all that old stuff.
Yeah, this is so this is the so them marks that I just showed you here actually connecting to these ones here that you can see. So these are, again, what they call cart ruts. This is actually a famous cart rut site in Sicily. So if you go on Google Earth and type in cart ruts, it will take you to this site.
Wow.
And so these are the cart ruts. Again, you've got another water supply up here, but this one's been shut off. You can see you've got a channel mark that branches into these ones here. You've got another channel mark that starts here. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe you've got something above ground. I don't know. Let's go along. And then you can see, again, branching into each other. This one seems to stop here for some reason. But again, this is some sort of waterproofing here. So I believe the stone would have gone up a bit higher. This channel mark decides to go down the wall. And I believe it's going to the level below. But this one decides to stop here. So I believe there could have been like a wooden or an external structure here. But it's gone. It's very old. But
it could have been terracotta. Well, archaeologists have actually found long tubular terracotta cylinders that had cup links where they fit into each other. It could have been something like that.
Yeah, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And again, more cart ruts. Well, they're not cart ruts, but again, they come to this massive box, some sort of storage tank. This one seems to stop here. And again, you've got them plates there. Can you see them service plates?
Yes, I can. That's exactly what they are. So let me ask you this. Rather than a sweet water supply, something as sophisticated as this, I'm envisioning it when it was in use thousands of years ago. Do you think that even even more important than providing drinking water, which can be done much easier, could this be like a metallurgical facility? Could they be making like Damascus steel here? Could they be? Is this a forge? Are these cauldrons?
Right. This is brilliant. But again, I just want to say this is only my opinion, by the way. This is only my opinion. What we're looking at now, I believe, is a communal area where you can go and collect water. You can go and it's a communal area. The next set of images I'm going to show you are exactly what I believe you just said. A place like some sort of factory or somewhere that.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Anytime you're manufacturing weapons, you got to have a lot of water for all those metals.
Right. So take make a mental note. You've got the water supply. This is high up, by the way. You can see we're quite high up. I believe here, I think it was 135 feet above sea level here, just here. And let's go along. I'm going to show you. You've got more ruts here, but again, this would have been under the floor. You wouldn't have seen all this. So I'm just going to quickly show you some stuff in Malta. So these are the ruts in Malta that people say are parallel. But when you actually look at them, they're nowhere near parallel.
They're not parallel.
Nah, and you've got bits branching off each other as well. So it's for not. And these are the sites in Malta where they have the cart ruts. The main one is this one here, which is the big one. So that is Archaix, which means the Great Cave. Now that is actually one of the biggest quarries in Malta, and that is where the water supply or the cart ruts start at the quarry. And then they go about half a mile down to the complex where you've got what they call Punic tombs. It's the same script. So it's a water supply going in the service channels to the complex. And if anyone's in Malta, these are where the cart ruts are. And again, when I was in Gozo, which is an island up here, I could hear running water when I was in some bit of land. And I was looking for the cart ruts. And then directly at the cart ruts, I made a video on it, was a well. Like there was a live well on the farm, and then the cart ruts were right next to it. And I thought, wow, this farmer's using this ancient water supply that was connected to these cart ruts. But obviously the cart ruts are now a tourist attraction, and the guy's just using the well for the water. But what I'd like to add on top of that is, how did they pump the water up from these wells? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah, how would they create pressure? I get it.
Yeah, how would that happen? Again, actually, what I just described is this exact one now where we are. So this is in Gozo. So just behind here is a well, and I'm on a farmland. And you can see you've got these 4 channel marks. They dip down at a 45-degree angle and then another 45 to go level again. You can see here. Also, you've got a little lip inside this one that I believe that something could have sat on top of it. And another thing to point out, they're all individual sizes, like as in the thickness. Again, here, this is a close-up, completely different sizes, different heights. And now, Jason, I'm going to take you to what I found in Sicily, mate. Because I just wanted to give you a little rundown so people could understand the concept of the water coming from the supply, running in the channel marks, and then going to where it needs to go. So the Lost City, here we go. Present that. And this is, by the way, I would love to do a meet-up or a tour here because this is unexplored. When I was there, I had to rush and quickly just get a few photos and go. There's so much more going on down there. So, where is it? There she is. I'm sharing it, Jace.
Are you sharing? Hold
Yeah.
on, let me find that real quick.
There we go. Right, so this is, like I said, you've even got a little, you've got a big hole here. So this is actually going up into the stone, you know? So where's that going, or where's that coming from, first of all?
Well, you know, at Derinkuyu in Turkey, they have the underground cities. Those vertical shafts, you can go 17 levels underground, 17 levels of infrastructure underground. Those vertical shafts bring fresh air through the whole system.
Wow.
And the reason it works is because on the bottom of the 17 levels is a natural underground river, and the river creates flow and literally pulls the air. It creates draft. So fresh air. I've seen these vertical tunnels. They're all over Turkey.
like you just mentioned there, when I was in Malta, I remember being underground. Well, I weren't underground, I was in a very complex. I was actually on sea level, and I could hear like this wind coming down this very skinny tunnel. Literally, I could go down it on the side. I was literally shuffling down it. So that now I know, now I'm a bit more educated. I now know that is a service channel. But now on top of that, that was actually some sort of natural aircon system. So the waves were coming in to this little tunnel and pushing the air all the way through the complex. And I could feel it hitting me. You can hear the air coming through as well. So that just married up with what you just mentioned. But what I'd like to say is here you can see the channel mark underneath. Can you see that? And basically where I've took this photo, directly behind me is a stream of water. So the water comes from above. I'll show you. Enters this little hole here. You see that?
Yep.
It runs along this wall in this chase mark. And then it drops down here. And it's going to be in a pipe, because if it was flowing water, without no pipe work, the water wouldn't pass this gap. It would just come down. So that's how I know. And you've also got a bit of render stuck here as well, by the way. I've just noticed that. So the pipe comes along, drops down with a T, and fills up these here, and also continues around the wall. So when it drops down, it fills up these. Can you see that? And I believe there'd have been some sort of flexible hose with a tap on the end. And another thing, this would have been flush with the floor. So the pipe would sit inside this, and you wouldn't even know it's there. It's under the floor, right? And then it goes out the door. Boom. See that? This here is a suspended floor level. Can you see that? So the slabs would go on top of that. You would not see any pipe work whatsoever. And it would just go straight back out to source. So the water comes in at the top, like I showed you, here in this hole, runs around the wall, fills up these, and then runs out the door, under the floors, straight back to source. Again, this is, I think I documented 3 places like that. So this is the same one, actually. Again, this is another one. Again, you've got the suspended floor because you've got that little lip there. And that's what the plates would have sat on. And the pipe would have exited out of this door straight back to source. Again, this is another version of it.
I'm wondering if this is it. Somebody needs to see if there's trace elements of tin, trace elements of copper. I mean, this much water and this much infrastructure, they had to have been making bronze weapons here. This is a weapons facility. This is and look, you're showing me cooling chambers. Once things have been superheated, it's I don't know, man. This wasn't for drinking water at all.
100%, 100%. So this is why I said this area was some sort of factory-based area. I don't know what they were knocking up in there.
Yeah.
But they're knocking something up. You got here, it's being filled in. So this is actually another tank. It's being filled in. You've got a little outlet here. You can see a little outlet here.
Yeah.
And then again, the pipes would sit underneath the suspended floor that sits on these 2 lips. You wouldn't see the pipes. Again, pipe comes in up here. This is a different setup now. The pipe comes in up this little hole up here. You can see that it runs around the wall. Oh, sorry, it runs around the wall, and it will obviously, I don't know if it feeds these here, but it's running around the wall. I imagine some sort of flexible pipe hanging down with some sort of valve to draw off water when you need it. I can't imagine it be free flowing constantly. So let's get back to that. And again, this is very suspect. This is at the back of that room. So if I turn around, like do a 180, behind me, you've got another channel mark coming from behind the wall. So what's going on behind there? And you can see that it comes down. Yeah, look, this is the mark here. See? And this gives you a good idea of what these channel marks look like.
Well, let me tell you, because you may have seen, let me describe a middle to late Bronze Age valve. I'm going to describe one. Maybe you've seen it and didn't even know what it was, but I'm going to describe it to you. If you want to regulate a lot of fluid flow, that's good. That's gravity fed. The best way to do it is you have a pool, like a pit, and at the bottom is a round hole. All it takes is a bowling ball, beach ball size, perfectly round sphere to be a plug. You want the higher the tolerance of the sphere, meaning the rounder and more perfect it is, the easier it is with a stick just to provide just enough leverage to create a crack, because the new water flow will push the sphere out of the way.
Wow.
The sphere is a perfect plug stopping all water flow. But
Yes.
any lever, because it's perfectly spherical, any lever can just create a breach. Once the breach is created, the influx of water pushes the sphere out the way.
Wow.
It's a real primitive way, but it's an excellent way for an ancient valve system.
Yeah, it sounds like now we have something similar, like non-return valves. So they have a little ball inside the valve. So when the water flows, it pushes against the ball and no water can come out, but water can come through the other way.
Yes.
Exactly the same concept, mate. Brilliant. I love it. So where was this pipe coming from? You know, like, this is meant to be a solid stone. You don't expect it to be like channel marks running through this stone, you know? Like, where would it come from? And what tools would you need to, like, anyone can drill a hole in a straight line, right? If you've got the right drill bit. But to drill a hole and go left, right, up, down, and all that lot, how is that even possible? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can only drill in a straight line.
Yeah.
So the water enters. So I've showed you the water supply at the top, feeding like communal areas. People can go and draw off the water up there, and you can also, it seems to me like they're storing water there as well. And then we come down to the valley. You can see that the water is entering the top of that building, not the building, top of that level of the building, and exit under the floor, just like this. And again, it's very similar to what we see in Malta. Let me get some images up.
That shit's fascinating.
I can't even, sometimes I don't believe it. I just, all right. So, render, no. So the services. So this is like, so this is, let me present it. So this was in Malta. And this is one of them frequency patterns that we call star city star faults. Down here, you can see it's the geopolymer. It's completely been damaged, but then they built on top of it with it's the same script. If you see these stones here, then you know the geopolymer's underneath. It's the same script. Yeah. So you can see cart ruts here. You can see one or service channels all coming out of this area. Also, you've got here you've got a pipe here.
Wow, there's actually pipe in there.
Yeah. It's phenomenal, mate. It's phenomenal.
I would like to know, what is that? Is that copper? Is it? If it's I mean, is it terracotta? What the hell? That would answer a whole lot of things. Just identifying what that pipe was.
Yeah, it's bonkers, mate. It's absolute bonkers. Again, I just want to point out here, you've got that little lip again. So there'd have been blocks or slabs that sit over that. So these pipes would have been like hidden or protected.
Yeah.
Again,
what we're missing here. Well, I just want to explain to my community what Paul's showing. Paul is showing you what the surface looks like underneath a dressed surface that is now missing. Thousands of years have gone by, and locals have come and taken all those dressed blocks that were like pavers, flagstones that people used to walk on. This whole surface was covered with decorative rock. No, and the people that walked on that surface didn't know that all these pipes and conduits are going in different directions. This is just like a modern city, like New York, except everything is made out of stone. Everything is made out of stone. But all the dressed rock would have been used by locals. It's the same thing that happened in the 14th century with the Great Pyramid. When those terrible earthquakes happened in 1302 and again in 1306 and 1307, in 1314, the local Muslim population came and built the city of Cairo with all the surface blocks that had been fractured off of the Great Pyramid. But we know they were there because we found the ones on the bottom buried under the rubble. But it's the same concept. Locals are always going to mine for the easiest building materials. And if it's a previous civilization that was destroyed, they don't feel any compulsion whatsoever to preserve it like we do. They just take it. So all those surface flagstones and blocks that formerly covered all this have been repurposed elsewhere.
100%, mate. 100%. Here's a great example of the slab over the channel mark. And again, you know there'd have been a pipe in it. You've also got a channel mark here, and you've also got a pipe coming out of the wall here. Like this pipe was obviously put in when this structure was cast. I mean, look at the stone overflapping each other.
Yeah,
you're right. And another thing is they cast from this corner first, and then they cast this section, then this section, then this section, then that section, then that section.
You know, well, you can call it what it is. The medium might be different, but we're literally looking at lithic 3D printing. This is what we're looking at.
Exactly. Again, this is another channel mark. So these are service marks. This is another famous Cartwright site in Malta, and it's called Salini Catacombs. This Cartwright has got one of these lips again, and you can see that clearly two pipes come into one here, clearly. And in England, in modern plumbing, that's called a flow and a return. So you've always got a supply of water. So what I mean by that is if you've got hot water and then you've got a tap, if you run that tap, it's going to take time for that hot water to get to that tap. So what they do is they have a flow and a return and a little draw off. So that water is continuously flowing, and that little draw off is here. So the water will just keep flowing like that in the pipe, up and down, and when they need it, it'll get drawn off here. And that's why you have the lip over it like that. And I also got caught out digging these Cartwrights out in Malta. Heritage Malta come up. I was actually there going to a tourist attraction. Again, it was meant to be catacombs, which is underneath these Cartwrights. It's the same script. It's the same script.
So they always say.
Yeah, it's bonkers. So I was digging out. Sorry, mate.
Paul, you need to go to Crete. One of these days, you need to go to Crete. Let me tell you why. All right. In 1901 and 1902, Knossos was being excavated. And you've heard of Arthur Evans and all the archaeologists, the famous archaeologists, that they couldn't believe what they had found. Whole murals of women wearing bikinis and high heel shoes look just like today. They found on the murals when the wardrobes that we have in high fashion today are identical to the 14th century, 33 centuries ago in the Mediterranean. And what the archaeologists were stumped by was the toilets were modern and the plumbing was modern, and they literally have hyperbolic curves which mimic the flow of water all throughout the structure. It's even more sophisticated than what you're seeing right here. See, you're showing me sharp angle conduits right here on deal, but the ones in Crete and on the palace in the middle bronze, the early and the middle Bronze Age Crete palace, they're all hyperbolic. The piping in the structure literally mimics the flow of water at high velocity.
That's phenomenal. That is one thing I've learned about all this, Jason, is there is a massive cover up about this. This has been hidden out of our history. There seems to be, I don't know when it was, but there seems to be stone metropolises all over this world. I don't know if they're created when the world was created, or they're created by smart people that decided to start making this stuff and learn how to use the materials. But
okay, I'm gonna blow your mind real quick because I know that when you get a good lead, you're gonna chase it. Eventually, you're gonna make it to Crete and see what I'm talking about, and probably see things other people haven't because they're not looking. But I'm gonna hip you up to somebody you need to look into. And
I'll make a note of that now.
David Hatcher Childress has written some books, and he shows Mayan friezes. I'm talking about paintings by the ancient Maya. It shows bearded white guys. The frieze shows bearded white guys wearing backpacks. They're wearing helmets, and it looks like they're using like a military-grade weapon, and it has a tube connected to the backpack. These are at least 12 centuries old, these friezes. Wow. These two guys in the Mayan, but next to a Mayan pyramid, the Mayan sigils literally explain that these foreigners come in and they build buildings by spraying. They're literally spraying rock and shaping it.
Mate.
Now, I don't know. This is what David Hatcher Childress shows the pictures. He shows with the Mayan, the glyphs deal. Everything else, he said, you gotta understand, he was one of my heroes. David Hatcher Childress is now a part of the Ancient Aliens franchise, but none of his published books promoted that stuff. It was all archaeology. And his book, I got that whole stack up there. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't see it from here. It's on the end of my deal, but I got a whole stack I've showed my community. I have every single David Hatcher Childress book. And when I saw that, it blew my mind. They were literally describing a technology that would spray stone, and then artisans would come and use tools and shape it before it completely hardened.
Do you know what, Joe? I absolutely believe that, because that explains stuff that I've been looking at. Because there's certain places in England I'm looking at, and I'm saying it looks like it's been squirted out of a machine. That's exactly what it looks like. You've got layers of like squirted out material just layer upon top of each other, and the only way you can get that, and I've looked into, I haven't looked at the whole spectrum of archaeology. So I haven't looked at it all, right? But I've only looked at what I need to look at.
Right.
Now, when you look at sediment rock, it's not what they're describing. Some of the stuff that we're describing, this is one of my biggest arguments. Sediment rock is meant to be marine biology that's fallen to the seabed, and it's been compressed over millions of years. We're looking at building material. There's nothing inside this stuff. It's processed sand. There's no shells. There's no stones. There's nothing in it. And I come from a building background. You process it to get the best material. All the particles are the same size as well. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable, mate. So this is my what I was saying about the flow and return, and then the draw off down here. So it comes around like that, and you just got to draw off. This is modern terracotta pipes, but being used, and then you've got the slab going over there as well. Wow. Let me just get another one, because now this is absolutely phenomenal. This is going to show you the scale of it now, the size. So, like I was talking about the render. So, and I showed you that image earlier, didn't I? I'm just going to share that image now. And I showed you the map, and that map of Valletta, that big frequency pattern. So I actually went around the whole of that structure, in and out. I think it's on ground level up is 10 stories, and I bet my bottom dollar it goes below sea level as well. I bet my bottom dollar. So this is, hang on, let me up. So this is a tunnel, right? This is now a 5-story multi-car park tunnel, right? This is the GOP, or geopolymer, and you can see where it's been broken down. They're built on top. First of all, I just want to point out the slivers of stone. You can see all this. You see the slivers? Yeah, and this is meant to be natural stone, but that's not the golden nugget. This down here, you've got to have eagle eyes, is the golden nugget. This is the render on the wall that's been taken off of all of that frequency pattern. You just got, let me get a close up of it. And that's actually, so again, you can see the slivers.
Yeah.
Not that bit, that's the next bit. And here, so this is it. I can't zoom in that well. So this is the render that's on top. So you've got the scratch marks, then you've got the pre-render, and then you've got this render on top that's sitting here. So, but when you go inside here, sorry, mate.
I say it's crazy. It's just, you can literally see the deposits, because apparently whatever machine they were using could only put out a certain amount of material. It hardened, and then they put the next amount of material, and those cracks actually separate those installs.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, that's mental. So this is what one of the rooms look like when it's rendered, right? This is what it looks like. You've got pipes behind the wall, but you wouldn't even know they're there, right? Yeah. This is another part of the rendered room, but this is why I took this image, because you can see the limestone here, and you can see the pre-render that goes on top of the limestone. That's why they scratch the walls, and then you've got the render. I've got a better image than that though. Here, look at that. So the pipe actually sat here. Let me just show you another image. It was someone's job to break this render off the wall and nick all the pipe work out of it. I've chased it. Like, look, let me just show you where it comes from. Like, this is it here. The channel mark comes around the wall here, around here, boom, like that, underneath that door, and carries on going. But how? Like, this is another thing, Jason. People must have had records of where the pipework sits. You know, if you need to go do, you can't just go and start breaking walls and try and find something.
Right,
look at this. This guy found out where the pipe was straight away, went directly to it and took it out. But
so somebody already knew.
Yeah. Something. I believe it's obviously maybe people in the army. They get taps on the shoulders, come and do a job, blah blah blah. I can't understand.
Well, I'm gonna go a little deeper than that. I mean, the immense amount of material that I've brought to the table showing anomalous sudden appearances of technology, sudden appearances of books, translations to older texts, sudden appearances of whole libraries. Like in 1902, we had so many weird things happen in that year. It's like it's suddenly all these things were introduced into the world, like air conditioning, all in 1902. So what I have this theory that I've shared with my community, Paul, that the structural engineering designs, everything from the old world is preserved in underground cities. The people there's humans in the underworld, and those humans already know that the surface world is subject to repeated resets, and they already have the vast amount of information that was recorded by Lucretius and Anaximander, Aristarchus, Thales of Miletus, Pliny the Elder, Ammianus Marcellinus. All these men wrote about resets. Arnobius of Sicca. All these men documented these resets and all that, but we only got fragments of their materials. It's my theory, Paul, that our controllers, the elite and all that, are actually controlled by a hidden civilization that's been in the underworld thriving, and they have all the amenities, and they're the ones that know how to build all these stone things, but they have receded to the underworld where it's safe because the surface world keeps getting hit with all these repeated resets.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I really am on board with that. 100%. That's phenomenal. So this was actually. So what I'm doing here is just showing you that when we just see the stone, it's not just that. You've got render on top of it. So there would have been proper square structures, but not what we see today. So let me just. So that where we are now, that image, I'll just show you exactly where that is on the map. So I'm just going to share another image, Jace.
All right.
So what I was just showing you, that all that render was in this structure here. All in there, which is opposite to Valletta. And another thing I noticed is all of the red parts in these, not these bits here, these are the apartments, but all the red bits were actually, when I went round all of these structures, they were actually, in my opinion, apartments for people to live in. And another thing is these red ones, I actually lived in this block here as well. And it's funny that the red blocks are living houses, and obviously the red on the outskirts seem to be apartments as well, because they're not just one room for storage. You've got hallways, you've got channel marks, you've got 3 or 4 rooms coming off of it, you've got windows going through to other rooms. And another thing about it is a lot of the modern pipework and cables are run through these structures and poke up into the apartments of the modern houses. So it's phenomenal.
Can you imagine about 35 centuries ago? Because I have an idea. I mean, it would require too much in this video, but my Archaix veterans have seen my 5 videos on the Ogaigian deluge and how an entire Heliolithic building culture was destroyed in the month of May of 1687 BC. And this is their architecture. And I've showed many examples on many of my videos of what you're showing now, but we weren't focused on the ruts and the pipes and all that technical stuff. We were just showing the megalithic building construction methods and that they're uniform all over the world. And this is 35 centuries ago that world was completely destroyed. And many ancient historians talk about the Ogaigian deluge or the Ogaigian cataclysm. And
how do I spell that?
It's O-G-Y. It's O-G-Y-G-I-A-N.
G-I-A-N. Right.
Yeah, listen. The Archaix material has more about the Ogai than I've been able to find anywhere in the world. I've collated it from all these old texts and old historians and everything they said. But I have 5 videos, Paul, and I talk about Malta in those videos as well. But 5 videos just on the Ogaisian Deluge, 1687 BC. Can you imagine prior, let's say 1700 BC, 13 years before the cataclysm? Can you imagine how thriving and how advanced all the women walking around, children, the ships that were coming into Malta, bringing supplies? You had running water. You had guys over here wearing badass armor that was made at the facility. Yeah, it would have been awesome.
That's how I visualize it, Jace, because where I've gone through that and I've seen everything there, I've been in the infrastructure. That's the only image I have in me now, what them places were like. It's phenomenal. I'm going to share this one with you, Jay, and it's basically, it's the last bit, and it's in where is it? It's in Giza.
So that's my first love, Giza.
Oh, I love it. I need to go back there, really. Right, so how do I present that? Right.
Yeah, I watched the video about a month ago with you running through the pillars of Karnak.
Yeah. Oh, that mate. I need to go back to that place. Honestly, it's phenomenal.
Well, you were pointing out all the evidence of modern archaeology. They were recreating things that weren't part of the original architecture.
Yeah, I know, and I only spot this because I've been in the building industry, so it's just how I've been programmed going to work. Right. So this is basalt over limestone, and I want to show you how this has been cast directly over rough limestone. Yes. You can see it here. So what I'm getting at is the people.
So you're telling me that dark rock is basalt?
Yep.
And you're telling me there's limestone underneath it?
Yep.
Oh, that's absolutely artificial. Then there's no way that basalt can be on top of limestone. You're right.
Look how it's cast over it, Jace. Look at it, just sitting over it like it's like. Look at that bit.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah, there's no doubt humans did that. That's not a natural formation. It can't be.
You'd have to cut the profile of the limestone on the bottom of the base of the basalt to make it fit snow. Right. It wouldn't work. But all they've done is they've just put 3 or 4 boards up, poured the mixture in, and done the same, moving along.
Yeah.
Exactly. So here again, look at this.
That's amazing. This.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Look at how much.
Okay, well, here's what's really unbelievable. I don't know if you know this, but one of the few stones that absolutely changes its chemical composition when you liquefy it in molten form, it does. Once you heat up basalt, when it cools, it's not basalt anymore. It's now called rhyolite, and its chemical structure is different. So in order for these blocks to be basalt, and yet they're form fitting over the substrate of limestone, means that we're dealing with a technology that cold forged that basalt and didn't change its chemical structure, because if it would have been heated up to do that, it would have become rhyolite.
That's interesting, because I do say that the stones were done cold. That's what I do say. I do say that. But these are only opinions. Again, look at this, Jay.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's
all over it. See,
that is crazy.
Look, unbelievable. Yet they say it's a natural flaw. Look, I'll just look. Like, imagine the work cutting the profile of that limestone onto the basalt so it fits nice.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a beautiful picture.
Well, that phenomenal, isn't it? I love it. I can't wait. I need to go back there.
Is that all granite too?
What bit are we looking at? This.
The dark stone.
Oh, this. That's limestone.
No, that's limestone there. Yeah.
Yeah, but what's interesting again? Look, you can see
that the granite.
This is stepping over 2 steps. 1,
yeah, it is.
2. And again, this has got a print mark in it. This is a print. I'm just gonna again look at that. Look at this. Just directly over it, and look at the stone fluctuates down here. But there were some images I want to show you, the Giza of the pyramids. But I can't see. I don't know where they've gone, mate. Giza Plateau. I don't know where they've gone. So I'm just going to get...
Yeah, a bunch of dudes wearing little white come-get-me's and sandals with copper chisels and copper hammers did not build this thing.
No chance. No chance. Glyphs. So I don't know if you know about this, Jace, but I found a hieroglyph as well that seems to be depicting the making of geopolymer. Now, a lot of people would argue that they're making mud bricks, but I'll point out why I believe it's not. So if I just present this one, and this is my last images, Jace. This is what I've got. So, right. So this is the guys sourcing and cooking the calcium to make the stones. So what I mean by that is to make the geopolymer, you have to heat up the lime to slake the lime. It makes calcium hydroxide, which is a very good material that you need. So you can see here that they're casting the stones, they're pouring out material, they're casting the stones in these things. This guy's here is gauging it. This guy here is like doing something to the material.
Yeah, the guy on his knees right here with that tool, he's checking tolerance right here.
Yeah.
It's exactly what he's doing. And if you notice, they're not using hammers and chisels.
No, there's not one hammer or chisel, mate. Not one. And they're cooking up stones as well.
Yep.
I've got a proper high. Like, this is it. This is the one, but it's not high res. So when you make the geopolymer, you need. They say that they were using seawater in Egypt because of the chemicals inside the seawater, like the minerals, because it's the minerals that create the binding as well, that create that molecular structure with the added ingredients. So you have the pool of water here. You have the blocks here. You have guys making up batches of it here. You've got guys moving it, and you've got guys casting it, and you've also got guys gauging it.
Yes.
Not one hammer, not one chisel. The only argument that someone could say is they're making mud bricks, but this is not the color of mud. You don't really heat up mud. You don't add calcium to mud. So,
yeah, I don't know, man. It's that right there never happened. That right there is creative license. Yeah. This isn't what happened. It's when we have evidence in Greece outside of Olympia of fracture quarrying, of whole cliff sides that have been quarried to high tolerance, meaning a sonic technology was used. We've got boring. I mean, at Giza, they have found holes that Sir Flinders Petrie in 1901 and up to 1904 at Giza, he simply concluded that he doesn't know of any ancient technology that could have made some of the boreholes in the Great Pyramid, because there was nothing in the 1890s that had a drill bit with a revolution. A revolution per axial revolution that was so high that could have melted those like that. It's Sir Flinders Petrie was amazed by the things he found, so he just left no comment. He says we don't know what kind of technology they had to do this, but it's crazy.
So I know I said one more. This is the last one, Jason. Is this? This is the very last one, mate. Here is she. So I'm just going to go back to Sicily, because that's what mainly the video was about, the cart ruts, so the water channels and all that. So I just want to show guys how the people in charge cover up this stuff, right? So this is, where do we get to it? So this is what we was talking about earlier. You've got the water supply here. You've got the channel marks here. This part here was out of bounds. You're not allowed to go up there. There was actually a barrier there saying, do not go in no more. And this was like where the cart ruts were coming from as well. So they're coming from different levels.
Wow.
Now, this is not my photo. I had to get this image offline. And you see what I said about the doors and windows, how they break them to make them look like they're not square no more.
Yes.
Also, you've got the channel marks outside. That would have been sitting underneath a floor. There'd have been slabs going over that. You'd never have seen that. But the cheeky gits, look what they've done. So you can't go up there no more. But they've covered it with a walkway.
Oh, So
You're not even
yeah,
allowed to go up there. You're not even allowed to look. You can't even look. By the way, this is a square door. So when I said they're square, you
yeah,
can really see how square they were. But
yeah.
then when you look at the other ones, you can see that they've damaged them. Like they're really to make them look like primitive. They're not advanced. You know, look at that. But what they've
Yeah.
done is they've put that steel walkway over that, and you can't even see these cart ruts no more, or service channels.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know. And they're going straight to these apartments. Phenomenal. And one thing I've been asking, I'm trying to manifest now, Jason. What are these boxes about? I don't know if you have any idea. I haven't got a clue. Sometimes I sit there and think maybe they're magnets or magnet. I don't know.
Well, they're not uniform enough to have really provided some a function. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. They could have been something as simple as we have the technology. It's so easy for us to make a niche. They could hold ceremonial candles. I don't know. It just could be anything.
It's just your mind races, doesn't it? Like what happened?
Yeah.
What happened? But here you can
Now,
see.
now it would be different. Hey, Paul, it would be different if you could show evidence that a niche on one side was in perfect proportion and measured to a niche on the other side. If that's the case, then those were holding rafters, and those rafters may have been perforated to allow fluid to come into them. And that whole area probably was underwater, and those doors are high up because people floated to the doors on their boats and rafts. That's just theory. That's just theory.
No, I love it. I love hearing it, mate, because this is amazing. But I'm asking the questions. I want to know what these boxes are.
Yeah, I would have to see the other side if they're uniform. Because if they are uniform, then yes, there was something going across.
I don't think they're uniform, Jace. I think the ones on this side are slightly bigger.
Yeah, that's probably going to be different then. Does at all?
Look, they're not symmetrical. There's no boxes on this side.
Yeah, if there's no boxes, then there wasn't something going across. They were for something else.
It's bizarre, isn't it? I want to know what they're for. I really want to know. It's bugging me because they're everywhere. I've seen them all over Malta. I've seen them in Egypt. I've seen them in Sicily, and I just want to know what they are.
Okay, so what you just told me is you've seen those architectural features all along civilizations that were bordering the Mediterranean.
Yes,
so,
exactly. That's the best precise way to say it. Along the Mediterranean.
So you gave me something to look into. I have a whole bunch of books on ancient infrastructure. As a matter of fact, one of them's called Ancient Infrastructure. I'll look into that to see what was said about that. It might be known. You got to understand, a lot of these archaeological monographs are so boring. No one ever does YouTube videos on them because they don't think they have any value. Nobody really looks at a lot of this scientific. I got a lot of scientific material right here in the studio, in this library, and it's fascinating how it fits in. But nobody's going through this material because it's boring as hell. So I'll go through it. But yeah, it's man, it's fascinating, man. And you need to go to Knossos in Crete one of these days. That's a place you need to get boots on the ground. And another place I would like to see you go to. I would like to see you go to the catacombs underneath Paris. Because the story that's attached to that is total bullshit. Yeah, those tens of thousands of human skeletons all crunched into those catacombs were not Christians that were running from the Roman Catholic Church. That's cover story.
Yeah,
the catacombs weren't even catacombs. They weren't even underground when they were being used. They were on the surface.
Yeah,
and the city of Paris today is the new city built on top of another city for which we have no history of.
Yeah, but I believe that is a similar script in a lot of places, Jason. A lot of places. I know that's the same in Malta, in a lot of places as well, and it's the same in England. Nottingham and Liverpool are two places that are complete buried complexes. And what they've done is they've broken them up into individual tourist attractions around the city and said they're not connected, but it's all connected underground. It's all connected. It's all part of the same complex, mate. But what I'll do is I'm going to Edinburgh in on the 1st of November because I believe something's going on up there. It fits all the script. You've got the sandstone up there. You've got the water supplies. You've got all the cave systems. So I'm sitting there thinking, is there a buried complex up there. So I want to go and check it out. So I'm going to go up there with my partner in crime, and we're going to go. We're going to have a propaganda.
Hell yeah.
You know, propaganda.
Hell yeah, man. Say, you know what? November 1st? Yeah, that sounds like a plan, man. I definitely like to watch that. Hey, man, this has been great. This is a little bit shorter than my normal routine, but I know it's getting late where you are, and I still got to make a couple stops before I go to the airport. But hey, man, it's been great. I love having you on the show. You make me think. I love the pictures you show, man, because you just can't find them. I'm going through my encyclopedias. I'm going through all my books. You just don't find these pictures, and it's great. It's great seeing that. It's great seeing that because I have these mind explosions trying to envision what it was like when it was operable, when it was built. It's great, man.
I think that's the images that I collect. So they sort of paint that picture for you. They give you an idea of how things were working mechanically and stuff like that back then, you know, and it gives you an idea of what they're working with. So I'm excited to find out what's coming, what we're going to work out. Really do. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, man, that's badass. I'm going to put all your links from your channel in the description box right now. I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. Any final words, Paul? Go ahead and get them out.
Just guys, please, first of all, Jason, thanks for getting me on the show. I appreciate you. I know it's a bit short notice and I didn't get much put together, but I'm sure there'll be another time. Guys, if you could subscribe. I don't even know what I'm going to come across. I don't have no narrative that I'm trying to push. I just come across and see things for how they are.
Okay, so yeah, guys, he is so close. He's got over 96,000 subs. He's so close to 100,000 subs. Please go over there. Let's get him over the top. Let's get him that plaque.
Yeah, because basically I'm working a full-time job at the moment. That's why my eyes are a bit shutting. And I would love to just be able to go to places and spend time there and examine them. Because at the minute, I can only go every 1 or 2 months to go and have a look at something because I'm working 5 days a week. So if my subscriber count goes up, that means I could probably generate a bit more money off the ad revenue that could get me out to these places. So guys, if you could subscribe or even join a Patreon, I would be more than grateful and I'll be happy to. And Jason, thank you so much for having me, mate. What a lovely guy. I appreciate you a lot for that. All
right, Paul. We're gonna have you back on the channel in a couple months, man. Later.
Lovely. One love, mate. Take it easy.
Hey, man, he's a great guy. Let's try to get him over 100,000 subs in the next 3 or 4 days. Let's get him up there, guys. I really appreciate. Do me a personal favor. Go over there and sub to his channel. I would really like to look at while I'm at Virginia Beach. Go on his channel, check it out. I'd like to get a message from somebody saying, "Hey, Jason, man, we did it. He's got over 100,000 subscribers." That'd be badass. I like to hear that. I'm gonna hit that outro because I've got to get to the airport, and I'm about to post all his links in the description box, guys. I love you, and I'll see you later. And I will take a minute to find the right outro because I have no idea where I lost that file. You know what? I got this one. Love you guys.
Be a mess.
Jason says being wrong gets us closer to being right.
You got to break free or die trying, guys.
Archaix showed me how to see if there was a tater in them onions.
Listen, Archaix isn't one guy against the Matrix. That's dumb. No, it's a family of souls waking up.
If I've learned anything since finding Archaix, if something is true somewhere, it's probably true everywhere.
Jason said if it's true, we can see it from multiple different vantage points.
So I broke pattern and went up there and slapped that guy. Total pattern break.
If you get stumped, you got to break pattern.
Jason says you don't need to know how to read, you need to know how to think. I think that's where I went wrong.
Jason figured it out. People are smart and they can decide for themselves if something is true or not.
No, I don't have anything to hide. I just don't want Jason anywhere near my accounting files.
There's a bunch of us who don't listen to Archaix. We signed a different deal. I think it's AIX or something.